Sebastian Vettel's final Formula One race was a bittersweet affair, as he wrapped up a brilliant Formula One career, but he's revealed he doesn't feel too fulfilled after the final race, and that he doesn't have any sense of excitement or joy after retirement. In fact, the four-time world champion actually feels empty. Though to be fair, it's understandable. After all, he's been racing ever since he was a child. Like, that's literally all he's ever known. So to hang up his racing gloves after a career that spanned decades, that must have been hard. But of course, the German must be heading out of the sport with his head held high. I mean, not only has he achieved more than most drivers ever would, but he's also earned the respect of the entire paddock. Oh, and let's not forget his leadership role over the past few years. And yet, when you're racing through the final lap of your career and see that checkered flag, none of those things seem to matter.
Sebastian Vettel scores 10th in his final race. What did he say? Remember these times, they might not last forever. Sebastian, thank you. The memories definitely will.
In fact, even when he was standing on the racetrack with all the fans cheering for him after the race, Vettel said he felt like there was a void inside him now. Again, understandable. Here's the interesting bit though. He also added that he's probably gonna miss the sport more than he realizes. And guess what? We didn't need to wait that long for that to happen either, as he later admitted how strange it would be to be away from the racetrack. In fact, the 35-year-old said he'll be back sooner rather than later. No, seriously. Speaking during the Autosport Awards, where he got the Gregor Grant Lifetime Achievement Award, the four-time champion was super candid about his future prospects. And while he didn't say he was going to race in the sport again, he did admit he'd like to be back at some point to have a look. He talked about how he still loves the sport and the people in it. So even if he returns, it'll be a bit weird to be there and not participate. Though sadly, he followed it up by saying that he doesn't really have any plans yet. Instead, all he could say was that it'll be somewhere, sometime. Not sure what that's supposed to mean, but alright. But hey, if you've been following the German speedster, you'd know that he hasn't even gone a couple of months without getting into racing action. As a matter of fact, he's already committed to returning to the racetrack very soon. Yep, Vettel is going to compete in the upcoming Race of Champions. Okay, this is maybe not the career revival we all wanted. Still, watching an F1 legend come back to the racetrack so soon after his retirement bodes well for the future, right? Not to mention, he's actually teaming up with Mick Schumacher this year as well. And we all know how great those two gel together. Besides, who knows? Maybe Mick could convince him to come back or something. Though, of course, it's not like he's got a seat of his own. Regardless, the gears are definitely turning, and this isn't a case of Vettel falling out of love with motorsport. In fact, if anything, he's still fully invested, which makes 2023 so fascinating. I mean, even Hamilton said he expects the German to return to F1 like Fernando Alonso, so I'm just gonna trust the seven-time champion's judgment. That being said, Seb did recently reveal that, at least for now, he's got some other things in mind right now. So what is it that's keeping him away from Formula One right now? Well, Vettel wants to spend more time with his family.
My goals have shifted from winning races and fighting for championships to seeing my children grow, passing on my values, helping them up when they fall, listening to them when they need me, not having to say goodbye, and most importantly, being able to learn from them and let them inspire me.
And again, I don't blame him. I mean, this sport can be brutal at times, especially with the amount of traveling you've got to do week in, week out. Not to mention, the seasons are relentless and even breaks can sometimes not feel like breaks. After all, you're still working on the development of the car and training for the upcoming season. So for Vettel, it's just nice to relax and spend a little extra time with his family for once. Plus, he's got all his other ventures as well as raising climate change awareness. That being said, he still refused to rule out an actual return to the Formula One grid, as according to him, you can never say never.
The next corner is in good hands, as the new generation has already turned in. I believe there is still a race to win.
He talked about how he thought about his retirement for a long time, and how he felt like it was the right thing to do. So for now, he's just excited to see what the future has in store for him, whether that's on or off the racetrack. Though amidst all this talk of reviving his racing career, there could be an unexpected way into the sport for him. Because Vettel could actually get a management role in Formula One. And no, this isn't a joke either. The 35-year-old has already proven just how great of a leader and mentor he can be. So it only makes sense for him to really flex his management muscles and get into a position that lets him influence stuff off the racetrack. As a matter of fact, Red Bull's Helmut Marko is apparently even ready to let the German have his position as the team's advisor. No, seriously. He said that he's kind of getting old now, and Vettel would be a good replacement for him. What's more, the team boss Christian Horner's also mentioned a bunch of times how they'd always welcome Seb with open arms. And honestly, that's super exciting. I mean, just imagine Vettel in that Mercedes Niki Lauda role, guiding Verstappen through to the World Championship. Now that's the stuff of dreams. Speaking of Verstappen, though, it looks like the gears have started turning over there already. After all, with a dominant finish in Abu Dhabi, you'd expect him to start 2023 on the same note. But it seems like Charles Leclerc isn't going to hold back either. In fact, Max will have to fend off a strong challenge from Leclerc in 2023. Yep, even though the Dutchman set a record by winning 15 races in a single season last year, he's got his work cut out this season. After all, his team has to deal with a wind tunnel penalty. Leclerc, on the other hand, is coming in with a mindset that he's got nothing to lose. So he's going to give it his all to make sure he flips the order and turns his second place into a championship. In fact, we've started to hear some rumblings about the Scuderia's title ambitions, as apparently their 2023 car is already 1 second faster than the F175. Not to mention, they've now got Fred Vasseur leading the team as well, which means the Monegasque is more likely to perform better as well. But of course, it's not like Red Bull's sitting on its laurels and waiting for Ferrari to pass through. Instead, Verstappen is ready to win his third successive title. I mean, sure, there's the penalty that's gonna hurt their development process. And then there's just the target on their back, which every leading team has. Though, for the Dutchman, these sanctions will serve as extra motivation to push harder. What's more, he also talked about how they've got plenty of new ideas on how to build a competitive car for 2023. So things are heating up in the title race already. Plus, we're only a few weeks away from their respective car reveals, which will give us an idea of what to expect. Though chances are that they're going to stick with the concepts that worked so well in 2022 and just build upon them. Still, it was a Verstappen and Leclerc 1-2 in Abu Dhabi in November. Will it be the other way around at the end of this year? Only time will tell. On that note, this was everything that Vettel had to say about his retirement and a look into the Max versus Charles battle. See you in the next one.